Evelynn, Lee Sin, and Nidalee and Mundo banned out. What do you think?
Okay, so Evelynn, Lee Sin, Nidalee, all very, very kind of expected. Lee Sin, Evelynn, dangerous, ganking junglers, and Evelynn in particular is just crazy at the moment. The interesting one is Mundo, and he is a character who at the moment seems to have been kind of propelled into viability literally by one mastery. And it is the Perseverance mastery in the defensive tree, which I think someone worked out if you are using it like optimally, which is sort of impossible because it's based on your missing health, you get something like a couple of 1,000 gold value out of just like 3 or 4 points, and it's just mental amounts of sustain, which on Mundo jungle is incredibly useful because obviously he drops himself down with his health costs. Yeah,
and we've seen him actually banned out in OGN as well over yesterday, if you guys were checking out any of those matches with K2 Bullets. And also, I know Naruterador plays him quite a bit too. I know he's been practicing it quite a bit. I've been talking to him between until Extreme Masters Clone until now, and it's one of his couple of champions he plays extremely well with. But with the final bans are coming in, Annie at least taken away, and we already have a couple picks coming in. We see Shyvana picked up for TCM. She was left open. And of course, Renekton and Grog is picked up for STO side.
Yeah, I think we can be fairly, but all the teams right now are taking up the safe champions. But here it is, Kassadin once again. And that is, I've got to say, TCM seem to have gotten the better of the picks thus far, just based because Kassadin versus Gragas is a very, well, okay, it's not a very easy matchup. It's a good matchup for Kassadin because it's less easy for a melee champion to bully him out with auto attacks. That means you need to get a lot of very powerful picks in order to make it worthwhile letting that Kassadin set through. But Shyvana and Kaylin are both extremely powerful champions as well. So TCM thus far have managed to get 2 very powerful picks, as well as the Kassadin in a good matchup, which just seems crazy, but could be. So
it's Spontexx. It wouldn't surprise me if it was him. We were on Tournament Realm, so it's not a placeholder of any sort, but we see the Soraka picked up. We see Lucian picked up.
Mana Fountain. You just sit there and you use all the abilities all the time, and that in a lane situation, especially actually if you go for a 2v1 swap up, means you can push so unbelievably hard, especially on Lucian because he just spams the Piercing Light. Creep waves just melt away like they aren't even there. And Soraka is underestimated as a late game support. Simply the ability to put that much armor on someone, whoever it may be, as the situation demands, is just incredibly powerful if you're diving in against an enemy team. One thing I would like to note, though, is that we are seeing a lot of team compositions with a lot of magic damage, and I think that's due mostly to the support changes, making those AP mage supports more viable, seeing them a lot more overall comp changes.
Yeah, not to mention Soraka's kit was changed around a little bit too, where she doesn't give as much armor right away, but with the ability power you get, which we see the supports picking up, as you said before, it kind of picks up with that. But also the change to her heal, where it's more about Soraka get in the middle of the fight, start spamming your star call so your heal's up more often and over again. So her kit, I definitely want to see how STO uses it, because it's such a cool change, and I like to see champions like swapped up like that when you never see them in competitive play.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen Soraka for ages, and another sort of more subtle thing to note is just that Soraka's base stats, her health, her armor, were all buffed significantly, and that makes a much bigger difference than people kind of realize, because you very rarely get a chance to compare between 2 different champions with different base stats, because they all also have a different kit, so it kind of masks the effect. Playing it before and after the patch is very, very different. And also one other thing to note here. Okay, so Naruterador loves his Volibear jungle. That's really, really strong on him. He's a very health-based jungler. He doesn't tend to build as many resistances. He will build resistances. But then you get the Soraka heal because he can dive in first, or Renekton can do much the same thing. And then as you get lower on health, the Soraka heal now gets a lot stronger the higher on health you are. And there's 2 major distractions stopping you from focusing down the other people.
Okay, well, we did have the last 2 picks come in for TCM. It was Fiddlesticks and it was Vi. I have to ask your thoughts on that because, at least for me, and I talked to Naruterador about this many times, is he's one of those junglers where he needs kind of to get kills to really get going. And I want to see how he's going to play this one out.
Obviously, ganking is now a little bit harder. I think I've said it before sometime, but at the same time, Volibear is a jungler who works very, very well at lane ganking, and that's one of the angles that's actually almost less protected now, because you can actually gank both bot and top that way now much more viably, since the supports tend to start with only that 1 green ward. And obviously they do have 2 trinkets for it, but those are very temporary. You can't just put it in the lane rush and think, right, safe from Volibear. There's no chance of that happening. So I think it's a pick that's actually getting stronger, essentially, as a result of just straight up meta changes.
Okay, and what's your two thoughts on these comps? Because they're very interesting for both of them. We haven't seen a lot of these champions picked up so far today.
Yeah, TCM, I mean, the first thing that jumps out to you about that is straight up mobility. They've got 3 champions that are just incredibly difficult to pin down and just make life difficult for them. They've also got Caitlyn and Fiddlesticks, who work as a very effective 2-man pushing team. They push fast in the lane, and they will continue to push fast later on, and they're also very good at disengaging. So I expect we'll see a very mobile style from TCM. Now, STO, on the other hand, whose name shall be STO for this game, they have a much more teamfight-orientated comp, but they do have that potential to try and, like, pin people down. They do have lockdown, and, you know, chasing champions are very, very strong if you're trying to play a lot of split pushing. That being said, TCM, probably the stronger late game here. Okay,
and one thing I do like about the comps, and at least specifically one champion, is a Soraka for the silence. It went really underestimated back in Season 3, and it's one of those things where if Belgianbeast jumps in and you silence him, he's not going to escape.
No, nor can he Zhonya's, nor can he, you know, anything really. And that's incredibly powerful because you lock him down before he's able to do his combo. He's sat there for longer. He then has to do the casting animations if he wants to cast it after the silence. And even if he doesn't, then he's just kind of left awkwardly walking away, and he has to wait for that whole rift walk cooldown, which was made a little bit longer as well. So.
All right, well, we are underway in this game. We're going to take you into it. And level 1, do you see anything specifically happening between these two teams?
Again, I want to note, level 1 invades are a little bit weaker than they were in the past. So, you know, less value from the first blood, less easy to get enemy wards in the enemy jungle. But at the same time, fairly weak level 1 from TCM unless they kind of get Shyvana into the mix of everything. Whereas STO, they've got quite a bit of CC, they've got decent burst at this level 1, and that could be useful for them. But it actually looks like TCM, relying on Fiddlestick's fear perhaps, are going to be able to get a deep ward down on that red buff.
Yeah, and that ward actually was spotted by STO's side because we did see Kujaa go ahead and put one down for himself over there. In the meantime, they're not going for any deep wards themselves currently. And it looks like TCM is actually going to make their way down towards red, which I think they can assume, since Spontexx was middle, that it's probably wide open right now.
Yes. Okay, so if you are able to get your own jungler with his red buff and you actually run Shyvana as your top laner, there is potential to go for the steal with just Shyvana. You can see he started cloth bots. That would actually be a viable potential start for him if he was able to get it. But it's such a risky thing to do if they were in that situation. It actually looks like he's not going to go and do that. He'll probably just start on, say, Wolves or something, once he finds the 2v1.
Okay, and we'll see how this game obviously develops over time. But still a lot of wards coming down across the map, mostly down towards bottom, I have to say. 2 wards for both teams right there. And you know, in terms of how these lanes are going to be going, since we have these 2v1s, who do you really favor to either, you know, hold out and get the most CS or maybe more kill potential in these lanes?
Well, they're both very, very fast pushers. I mean, Caitlyn Fiddlesticks, mentioned before, are pretty much the classic fast push lane. But Soraka Lucian, as mentioned as well, with a mana fountain for the Q, is just going to be incredibly brutal. But Belgianbeast is taking a lot of damage in the mid.
Yeah, and obviously kind of assume that a little. Well, Spontexx actually doing being very aggressive. And if you recognize the name Spontexx, obviously he was the top laner for Dragonborns back in the day in the Spring Split, and even played top lane for Gambit in one match during summer. And now he's giving it a go at middle, and I want to see how well he does. But as you can see on the minimap, Gob sticking with Airwaks here throughout the entirety of the jungle, since he will be denied quite heavily over towards bottom. I'm just give you a rundown of both teams and their lineups. For TCM, we have Jwaow in the top lane, Naruterador in the jungle, Belgianbeast in mid lane, Motroco as AD carry, and BarneyD as support. And over for STO side, we have Gob in that top lane, Airwaks in the jungle, Spontexx in mid lane, Yuuki 60 as the AD carry, and Kujaa as support.
Now, because TCM wasn't ready for this 2v1 lane, you can actually see Shyvana has kind of been zoned out and hasn't been able to take the Wolf camp, hasn't been able to just go and get some extra experience. So that's going to put him a little bit behind in that lane. He does, however, have better wave clear than Renekton. So assuming he's able to get in on the creeps, he will be able to clear them away and hold on to his tower a little better. But without that extra experience, there is actually a lot of potential for him to get poked out very early on. But he's actually stayed in XP range, so cancel that.
Been working out for him, and Naruterador, instead of actually going towards top, he's going to use the lens on this bush to see if he is spotted. Looking for a gank on the middle onto Spontexx here. Obviously, Gragas Very, very hard champion to gank, but it looks like he wants to go in with that Vault Breaker. He's actually not going to land it here. Spontexx does get the body slam away from it, but Naruterador trying to make a stamp, trying to show that he's going to be around ganking quite a bit here. And Airwaks hasn't really done the same yet, but he's just trying to make sure it seems that Gob gets this farm under turret.
Yeah, they're just trying to make sure they don't lose this turret race, because whoever loses the turret race starts to fall behind in map rotations, and that gets really awkward for you if you're trying to then play this kind of aggressive style that TCM are likely to be wanting to, and much the same actually from their opponents. So it's probably going to be quite a passive laning phase, because at the moment it doesn't look like STO have the potential to gank in the bottom lane, or at least go for the kill in that bottom lane. And it looks like Vi is pretty much just set on farming up and getting ready for the mid game.
Yeah, and he's actually going to be spotted if he does go towards that top side, but it looks like he wants to go for a bit of counter jungling here. But as you can see, the trinkets, we actually do have 2 sweepers, 1 on each team. Naruterador does come in on Spontexx, does get the Vault Breaker onto him. Spontexx getting very low, forced to flash away, but they're going to commit for this. Will Belgianbeast go for the flash and the kill? But no, Naruterador picks one up for himself, and it seemed a little all too easy for them.
Bot lane though.
First kill I missed. Unfortunate, but Airwaks does pick up a kill back to BarneyD, sorry, as Motroco going to be chasing him down here, but that 2-man push was able to pick up a kill on the support, but still, first blood went over to Naruterador.
Yeah, indeed, and past that timer, gets the extra first blood gold. You actually saw Naruterador, though, heading towards potentially diving Volibear, but has decided against it and kind of backed away after all, thinking maybe that the bear was no longer there, so be okay. Again, this is just looking like it's a straight-up pushing race at the moment, but TCM are actually building up quite a significant gold lead. Yeah,
already up 1,200 gold currently right now, and just want to point something I was trying to say a little bit earlier is that we see the sweeping lens actually picked up for 2 people. One on TCM, which is in the hands of Naruterador. The other is in the hands of Yuuki, actually, as the AD carry. And I really like seeing this, 3-14, because it gives you the chance to really experiment a little bit with terms of items and in terms of what you want to build and kind of build orders. But, what's your thoughts on this?
So it seems like the intention is to make sure that you have 1 sweeping lens available in case you want to go for a dragon push there. So for TCM, obviously they have it on their jungler. Their jungler is probably going to be in place for that. I do wonder though why you would put it on Airwaks, because he is obviously why you would not. He is not really going to be doing a lot of invading maybe, so I mean putting down wards on the enemy buffs is valuable, but what else are you really going to use it for other than to give your lane security? He is going for the gank, though.
Well, he went for those early boots mobility. He's making it work for him. He's going to be coming in. Will he get the kill on a BarneyD? He's going to get the flip onto him, I would imagine, in a second here. But BarneyD doesn't have flash to get away. He's going to go down. Teleport coming in from Belgianbeast, but he's going to cancel that one. And STO pick up a very easy kill on a BarneyD, and it seems like they set their focus on this bottom lane.
Yes, but they aren't stopping Caitlyn from farming right now. Actually, looks like she is going to... No, just messing with me. Was thinking about recalling there, but she should be able to actually farm okay against Renekton so long as she's careful. But that does mean she actually puts herself at risk of a gank. It may be that she's just relying on Airwaks thinking she'd never stay, and that'd be far too dangerous.
Well, he's currently losing on that CS lead right now, down about 6 CS to his counterpart Yuuki in the top lane. And speaking of the top lane, let's take a look at the turrets. The bottom lane down very low right now, but over towards the top side, it's just a tad bit lower and in the favor of STO.
The thing is, though, if you are keeping this as close as this, the turret race almost becomes less important. The Yuuki taking quite a lot of damage. That's Shyvana right now, by the way, going in.
Oh, we do see Naruterador coming in as well through the lane, but I guess they wanted to make STO commit to that fight, but watch for them. Well, fortunately for STO, they did back away instead. In the meantime, Spontexx going to be getting his own blue buff here, as well as Belgianbeast going to be picking his up very shortly, I would imagine.
It doesn't really matter, but so long as, so wanted to just go back to that little point I mentioned. So long as you kind of take the towers very similarly timed, it actually becomes a lot less relevant because you essentially do that lane rotation almost at the same time. But the fact that Caitlyn just recalled is actually going to cost TCM a bit of time, meaning that they are now behind on that lane rotation. They potentially may look to just have Shyvana push out top really, really quickly, which she can do, and then look to maybe go for a 3-man on bot lane. But that is giving STO an opportunity if they want to go for something like a dragon play.
And I guess we'll find out actually as they do leave that base here, but 4 members actually returning currently. And it seems like they're all buying up, and I think that dragon might be a very likely possibility as you're calling out, because You know, this, if you're gonna go back and buy, Dragon is one of those things you definitely want to be able to pick up here. But Jwaow still coming towards that top side. Gob going to be heading up there as well to go into that 1v1. And so far in CS, Jwow's been able to outfarm Gob quite well. However, he doesn't have that kill or assist under his belt.
Yeah, if you end up getting, obviously, kills and assists on Renekton, that's good. You do get to be a really, really tanky Croc, and it gets really, really difficult for enemies to peel them off. But both of them are fairly like flat characters, as it were. They don't hyper scale. They get hyper tanky, both of these characters. But neither of them is going to just be able to, you know, build up a ton of gold and hugely influence the game. So if they're, as long as they're relatively close between the two teams, it's not going to matter too much for either. Oh wow, that spit into that pink, or Spontexx not going to be spotted until he gets towards his Trebuch to go down bottom. But it is a 4-man gank here, and Airwaks, I don't know, they have the potential to go for this dive here if they want to make it happen. But Belgianbeast is already closed in from middle, and the rest of STO just going to back away. And Dragon going to be started off here. It is spotted by TCM. They do have a ward down. But will STO commit to this? And it looks like they might. That could be really, really dangerous for them, though. This is a straight-up 4-on-4 situation, and it actually looks like they're going to not do that, after all. I guess there isn't too much for them to be concerned about. They have sustain, they have Gragas sustain, they have Soraka sustain, so they don't need to worry about taking a bit of damage and then backing off just to force that commitment out. So I don't actually think they ever really intended to go for it with TCM so close. And they also had a little advantage in terms of supports, where Kujaa was 6 and BarneyD wasn't. That could have been, I guess, a really strong point for them to go for it if they wanted to. But either way, BarneyD does hit level 6, and still a very slow game considering what we just saw. Yeah, very, very slow-paced. It's all about lane control and all about that defensive play at the moment. Yuuki actually potentially looking to go in with Airwaks. Oh, Airwaks looking for something to happen here. We do have teleport coming in from Belgianbeast. We'll be able to turn this one around. He's actually going to get silenced up here, and he's being taken very, very low. He could almost get bursted down at this point, but the rest of STO forced to back out as Naruterador comes in. He has an ultimate available, but he will use it on Destruct as Fiddlesticks even comes in with his ultimate on top of that. Even flashes, gets the fear into Yuuki, but doesn't have his team to back him up, and a great job by TCM to turn that gank around. And if you ask Belgianbeast after the game, I'm fairly convinced he's going to say that was all part of the plan. It was an elaborate bait to get silenced, bait that out, and stop Soraka from stopping Vi's engage, and also to make them think, oh, we can turn this around, we can get... oh, dear. Oh, but you do see Airwaks coming in again down towards the bottom, looking for a flip onto someone, but instead backs away. And smart move overall, I guess, since Yuuki wasn't really in position to help him out just yet. Up in the top lane, it's just kind of become a farming fest where Jwaow, who he is probably one of the most solid top laners in the challenger scene or the amateur scene, whatever you want to call it, not in the LCS currently, out of anyone. Yeah, I mean, we saw quite a few rumors about what team potentially he might have been joining, but it does look like that may have fallen through. Yuuki going aggressive on Motroco. Airwaks again coming down bottom, looking for the flip on a Motroco. He's going to get flipped in. He's going to get silenced up. Will he be able to pick up the kill? They can easily go for the dive here. Looks like they will be able to close this one out. No, the barrier actually coming on time, but we see Yuuki actually flashing and picks up the kill. And STO have made it so obvious that they are going bottom lane over and over and over until they pick up the kills they want, until they get the lead that they're looking for. But either way, they're still down in gold. We are actually getting a couple of messages in chat, by the way, about potential lag here. So I just want to note that. But yeah, it's kind of Blackadder at that point, isn't it? It's just because this is the precise plan we've used for the last 17 attacks in a row. It'll work this time because they'll never expect it. They'll never expect it the 17th time, and they didn't because we got the kill again. Yeah, it worked. Worked just fine. You see a lot of pink wards invested over towards Dragon, as you can see on that minimap there, and Jwaow, he's being such a nuisance. I mean, that's what Shyvana does best, build up towards that Sunfire Cape, not going for a Blade of the Rune King as a first buy. As Spontexx in middle, gonna get caught here with the ultimate out of Vi. He's getting very low, but he actually might be able to survive this. Very low until Belgianbeast comes in, was able to pick that one up, but not before Airwaks gets the kill on Naruterador. Now Belgianbeast going head-to-head against Airwaks. He's actually not gonna have his actually did have his frenzy up, but he wasn't fair in his chance as well against Belgianbeast, who did get dropped very, very low here. 1-for-1 trade overall. Really nice usage there by Spontexx, though. He was aware he was going to die regardless of what happened, regardless of when he used his escapes. So he used his escapes to make sure he pulled Naruterador under the tower, which obviously then resulted in that death and it being a 1-for-1 rather than being a 1-for-0. So very, very nicely played, and just keeping that cool head even in that dangerous situation. Yeah, great job by him to at least make something out of nothing right there. And we do see the trinkets being switched up as I'm staring at nothing right now. This is really hard to do camera. Like, I'm really glad to have Joe doing it for me all the time. But we do see a little bit of swip up. So the sweeping lens has been picked up by BarneyD. He did trade that one out.
Not on STO's side yet.
Yes, indeed. So it's something we did see in the last couple of games, but it's been variable. Different teams seem to value having tons and tons of sweeping lenses, less and more respectively. I mean, in the first game we saw, what was it, 4 or 5 on one team?
I believe it was 4, yeah, towards the end of the game, and it was crazy because they definitely kept trying to get control of everything they possibly could, but it did. I don't know. They seem to not make it work as well as I thought it would have done.
Yeah, well, they were, of course, contending with Mimer's split push, which was very difficult to deal with. You couldn't lock him down, but you couldn't really team fight them either. So it was, yeah, really, really lose-lose situations. Basically, one of the things in strategy in League of Legends is just trying to create a lose-lose situation for your opponents, and they did that really, really well then. But at the moment, again, looking very defensive, and Dragon is not really an option for either team just because wards.
Yeah, and we do have both AD carry supports down towards that bottom side, so you're not going to get that man advantage that you might be looking for. We are about 14.5 minutes in here. Very, very slow game, as we're saying before, despite STO ganking bottom 19 times. Able to pick up kills at least on 2 of those. But right now, TCM, I mean, if you were to ask me, you know, hey, Jason, who would you favor in this game? I would have said TCM in a heartbeat, but they're not looking as solid as we've seen them, you know, in the past.
Yeah, but remember, they probably have the better late game here right now, because Shyvana versus Renekton, Shyvana going to be a little bit stronger as time goes by. She has just that bit extra damage and resistances built into her kit, so she gets that little bit more of a threat. She doesn't have the double gap closer, but her ult can indeed gap close alone.
We had a ping actually come down towards Dragon here out of TCM, but doesn't look like they're actually be going for that anytime soon, and they're just leaving Jwaow farming top lane, and I think that's exactly what you're saying. You know, I think TCM realizes, hey, we have the better late game team. Let's just let our Shyvana farm, keep that lead growing against Gob. You know, let Belgianbeast keep up in CS, which he's currently leading right now against Agragas, and that's no easy feat on its own. And Motroco has at least been keeping up with Yuuki, considering he was behind, I think, a majority of this game. Yeah,
indeed. But as the time goes by, what is going to be the answer to Belgianbeast split push? And actually, Jwaow going in shot.
Oh, they're going head-to-head here as Ignites are going to come down. Jwaow already in that Dragon form, looking for the kill to Gob, who's already dropped very low at this point. Jwaow low as well, but he's looking for the kill. He can't really dive over Renekton, but in the meantime, we do see a push happening down the middle. The ultimate coming out of Gragas, the Fiddlesticks ultimate coming over the wall, and look at the damage that Fiddlesticks ulti is doing. He's staying alive. BarneyD flashing away. He does end up going down as Belgianbeast now trying to escape with his life. Motroco looking for a kill there. But in the end, it was a 1-for-0 trade, and STO getting TCM to commit so many ultimates into that fight and still coming out ahead.
Yeah, it looks like they are actually going to be able to push down that middle tower as a result, or potentially actually not. And in fact, Yuuki needs to be quite careful here because Belgianbeast is starting to get a little bit of his health back. I think his Catalyst may have procced, so he got that little bit of bonus regen there, so no huge concern. And top lane, I keep thinking, is going to be Major right now, but they're both just low and don't really care, apparently.
Yeah, there's a term that Demon always used about 2 greased up fat lads doing something in the top lane, and that's pretty much what's happening. But
I don't know what you know about greased up fat lads.
Not much, because I'm not British, but you know, it's a big CS lead already developing for Jwaow. Still 30 CS ahead right now, as Joe gave me a really awkward look. It's like not what I meant. But anyways, Gob gonna go down to Jwaow with the help of Belgianbeast, who did teleport in towards that top lane. But they have to be very careful because Airwaks is in the vicinity to come in here and help out. And in the end, they get the turret on top of that. So a kill and a turret brings TCM up to a 3,000 gold lead.
And they're starting to build just small advantages. It's not as explosive as when we saw Copenhagen Wolves earlier, but they are starting to put one foot in front of the other and are doing it a little bit faster and a little bit faster. And what you will tend to see is, well, a snowball, because they just... Snowballs have feet. They will start to build that momentum. That is their objective right now. And they are actually at the moment getting the better of the lane rotations. However, thus far, it's fair to say that there's been a very good job of getting a couple of picks here and there by STOs who do not count them out yet.
And one sign that's a little bit worrying for STO, at least, is Belgianbeast. Not leading CS, but he's pretty much dead even. He's also 1-0-2 right now, and if he gets strong enough to one-shot Yuuki, he's going to be able to do really well. But we see the Gragas ultimate come in as Belgianbeast actually committed towards that fight. So they're actually focusing on Kujaa right there, who's able to just walk away completely out of it. And you see Yuuki coming in from the side with the Colin, trying to actually focus down Belgianbeast, but he's going to be able to escape here. But Jwaow picks up a kill on Kujaa, is able to chase him down. Naruterador actually going to flash over the Dragon Pit wall, but he is running from 4 men. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to escape this one. Going to go over the wall, actually let Gob get the kill here. Now Spontexx cleans that one up. And they're actually going to leave Dragon and actually go for a push on the middle here. So 1-for-1 trade, but TCM is looking for more.
Yes, indeed, but they are a little bit lower on health overall, so they're going to have to back out. The middle tower threat was essentially just to say, nope, nope, go away from Dragon. You can't take that for free. Although it does look like they're now going to go back again. And now it's kind of a guessing game for STO. Has Belgianbeast recalled? Are they going to be doing that? But they put a ward in the middle of the lane, and that has given them that answer, so they will be able to take the Dragon, which they got a little bit faster, I think, than TCM is planning on. And now they'll try and get engaged, but I doubt TCM will let them.
Wow, and they're actually going to be able to hold on to that middle turret too, so TCM just coming out really far behind in that either way. And that goalie that they did have is starting to shrink little by little now. And items, as we see coming in, we're getting to that point, 20 minutes in almost, that some major items being completed, some major power spikes are coming in. Belgianbeast has that Rod of Ages. We see the Bloodthirster done for Motroco. We see the Triforce done for Yuuki. Both the top laners have that Sunfire Cape done, and the random one's actually almost picked up for Jwaow. And Gob only has 600 gold to spend. He's actually quite far behind in items.
Yeah, he's just not able to. But again, Renekton is a character who has a ton of stuff in his kit, regardless of everything else. So as long as he stays on par on levels, he's okay. But at the moment, he's even falling behind in that respect, which is not good for him. Gob, though, is kind of backed up a bit by his team here on this, because full Trinity Force Lucian, that is going to start to be a big, big power spike. You've actually got much of the same coming out of Gragas. He's got the Athenes. He can now poke more or less indefinitely, very effectively. So STO now are looking to get picks. They are looking to push towers. They are stronger, probably, by a small degree at the moment overall.
And STO, they seem to have put a lot of their eggs in one basket by trying to gank bottom over and over, get Yuuki a little bit of kills, and just try to shut down Motroco and BarneyD, which they've done a pretty good job of. But Motroco's pulled a 30 CS lead advantage already, and that's going to start translating into some major items. As you see, he has that Zeal advantage.
Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah,
Trinity Force versus Bloodthirster,
I'm like, huh. He has a full item advantage, let's just say that.
Yeah, well, okay, so roughly the same on total gold earned between the two of them, and actually Motroco a tiny bit ahead, as you say. So that's a good advantage for them right there. But again, Lucian is a mid-game AD carry. Caitlyn, worst period of the game, mid-game. She is in the doldrums right now. Bloodthirster does kind of ameliorate that a little bit, but that's going to mean her late game is going to take a bit longer to kind of overtake Lucian with that range advantage. And even when she's hit that point, Lucian is still going to have aspects that she cannot imitate. He will have the better poke all game.
What about when we get to these team fights when Jwaow's participating in them? Like, isn't this going to be a really hard threat for Yuuki to deal with?
That is a very, very good point. There is not a lot to peel off Lucian at that point. However, he is obviously Lucian. He does have a red buff. As long as he's smart about how he uses his dash, he can kind of kite that backwards and they can just focus in the fire. The thing is then they're not focusing out Motroco, which at this stage of the game isn't as bad as it could be because Doldrum period for Caitlyn. But as time goes by, the threat distraction from Jwaow is just going to be too much, and then they will also have to deal with Motroco, who will have a lot of damage by then.
Yeah, and if you think about it, in terms of engaging, STO has, I guess, I would imagine, a decent team for it, since they do obviously have that Volibear get in there very quickly, and you have that Gragas barrel. But if they're using that to pretty much engage, the peel becomes non-existent. I mean, all you have is a silence out of Kujaa, who's like, yeah, I'm hitting you, but it's not really doing too much in the end.
I sure have stopped Shyvana from casting her low cooldown abilities. Yeah. Well, again, it's a timing thing with Soraka Silence, because if you use it right before that combo, it ruins her completely. But unfortunately, if she's in position to silence Shyvana before she uses Dragon's Descent, something has gone wrong. I don't know what, but something at that point.
And I want to point something out real quick, too, because I don't know the full name of it just yet. It's a Talisman of Ascension. I'm sure a lot of you out there are having a tough time with the names, too. You see that now done with BarneyD. And it gives them that, as you and Joe were talking about before, that ability to run away or run into a fight a lot quicker.
And that's very, very valuable if you have a Shyvana on your team, especially because her sole sort of method of sticking to people, she can jump in initially, but when she sticks to people, she's literally just running fast at them. That obviously helps a lot if you have extra movement speed on top of that. And it's also worth noting that it's so difficult to engage on Motroco because he has a lot of peel as opposed to his opponents.
Oh, wow. Gob actually trying to tank the turret out, trying to take it down himself, but Jwaow goes into the backside. Look at the damage and the distraction he's doing. He's not taking too much damage as he's eating so much from the other team. As Naruterador comes in with the ultimate onto Yuuki, not enough to take him down just yet, but Airwaks low. Everyone in STO is very low as the rest of TCM going to be backing away at Belgianbeast and Motroco, both basically at full health, looking for more. Gets the kill in the Spontexx. And that is a 1-for-0 trade, but a lot of damage going down, and Jwaow kind of made his presence known where he forced 3 to 4 members of TCM to back off.
Yeah, and imagine that situation if we hit that late game period. Once Caitlin's hit 3 items, she was auto-attacking that whole time, barely attacked in that entire fight, and was able to do quite a bit of damage, but not enough to really start chunking people down. All those people on that health would have just gone down completely.
Barely. I see what you did there.
I don't. I refuse to countenance such things.
But we do see Kujaa. I wanted to point that out. You know, with this Talisman of Ascension versus the coin, Kujaa actually went for a very, very early Mikhail's Crucible. I'm assuming that's gonna be for the fear for BarneyD.
Yes, that is actually a really, really good point, because Mikhail's Crucible, you actually saw even that she has not upgraded the Ancient Coin to the 2nd stage of it, whose name...
starts with an N. That's all I can tell you.
So it's a thing, and that thing is highly useful, but she's sacrificed that in order to get that Mikhail's Crucible as fast as humanly possible, because she's aware how much both the STO need to make plays right now, and also of how incredibly useful that is to their team fight. A free cleanse, getting rid of that 3-second fear is just so useful.
And right now, STO, they're kind of setting up towards Dragon. 8 seconds left. They were able to get it last time here, as I don't know why I hit that button, but they were able to get it last time. And they're looking for it a second time here. TCM was finally able to get that middle turret down, but now, with a lot of flashes being down on both sides, but all ultimates being up, STO is going straight for this Dragon, but TCM, they're not going to let this happen.
Are they going to engage on it, though? It's a really difficult thing, because at this stage of the game, they will clear Dragon very, very quickly indeed. Both teams will, in fact. But TCM have a lot of potential to just pick off someone like Soraka. And if they can get the right dive with Shyvana, they could make it work, but... are they going to go for it?
BarneyD going to be knocked away by that Gragas ultimate, and you have to think STO has to back out. Jwaow is actually behind them right now, going straight for Yuuki. Naruterador even goes in towards the backside as well, and they have no clear for him. They have no protection. He drops. Kujaa forced to flash from low. He's going to go down, and Naruterador looks like in the end. Now Gob and Motroco, well, Gob just running away. As you see the ultimate come out of Motroco, Kujaa stays alive. He's still alive. He's running away. Even Spontexx using his fat man powers to hold him back, and he does escape. So instead of there being 3 or potentially 4 kills, it just comes down to 2.
But that will give them such a big advantage now. They get the Dragon if they want it. They get towers if they want them. They push out lanes. They get vision control. So many advantages gained by TCM. And it was because Jwaow, he just said, okay, he saw the poking fight happen, and he backed out and took he played the long game right there, went all the way around, and then came in behind, and as you mentioned, very low peel. They couldn't get rid of him, and that meant that when that Gragas ult was used, he just said, I'm golden, done.
Yeah, that positioning. I mean, you pointed out Jwaow coming in from the side, but then you also had Kujaa separated from his AD carry. And he couldn't heal him, he couldn't keep him alive. Obviously, he had his ultimate to do something with, but when you have Naruterador and you have Jwaow sticking to your AD carry, it's like, well, goodbye, Yuuki. You're not really going to survive even with that Bloodthirster, but in the end, 9-6 now is the scoreline, 27 minutes in, and the gold lead has stretched to about 6,000 currently for TCM.
Starting to build that momentum, you know.
A snowball's starting to run instead of a jog.
I don't know how snowballs work. I haven't seen snow in... actually, wait, no, the UK's been getting a lot of snow in the recent years. But regardless, does seem... Joe gave another weird look. I don't see the problem, Jason. I just don't.
I'd imagine you've seen a lot of rain in the UK, but
we do get rain.
Oh, and apparently it's snowing here tomorrow in Cologne, so you'll get to see a little bit of snow there. You'll see me jogging through it, very happy like a young little boy. But either way, we do have a game underway.
Young little snowball. So, okay, yeah, go ahead.
But we're into game number 3 here of tonight's matches. We have 2 more coming up, and right now TCM is looking for their first win as they do engage on a Spontexx. You see Belgianbeast teleporting in from the side. They're going straight for him with the silence, with everything they have, but Kuja's keeping them alive with his ultimate, with his heals. And right now, it looks like Airwaks will be the first one to drop as you see BarneyD use his ultimate defensively to escape, and Belgianbeast still sticking around the side. He's about to drop. He's so low, the coin picks it up as Yuuki trying to run away, but the rest of TCM are chasing them down, and with Naruterador and Jwaow hot on their heels, they're not going to be able to escape for much longer. But instead, they get 3 members. They let them back out. As you see, Motroco, he's trying to get vision for... Oh, no, he doesn't even have his ultimate available. They get 3 kills, and they're looking for a turret.
Much better positioning this time from STO, and they still come out behind because we're starting to see the point where Motroco is getting much too high a damage threat to ignore. She now has 3 items. She shreds through the front line much, much faster than she did before, especially with that last Whisper having been picked up. And that now means that you're being put into a lose-lose situation. Yuuki has to kind of somehow self-peel Shyvana and Vi off himself, and it just isn't a possibility. Airwaks might get that.
Oh, Naruterador, he might be shot. No, he escapes. Airwaks didn't use the ability to stop him doing that, and wow, very, very close.
Lagged, he couldn't possibly have attacked him.
That's his excuse, and he's sticking with it, but that's not. We're not going to let him get away with that one either way. But wow, so Naruterador, that could have been actually major for STO. They might have been able to go for Baron or something like that since they did have the smite down, but then again, that would be deadly against a Kassadin and a Fiddlesticks. But right now, taking a look at kills, taking a look at CS, like who on both teams is the real man to watch out for? Who's the one that can really make the plays happen?
So in terms of making plays happen, TCM have a lot of potential from Belgianbeast to catch people out, but the real man to watch on their team is Motroco. And just watch how little he gets focused, because if he's able to get another team fight now where he is pretty much left completely unmolested for the entire fight, as we've seen I think twice now, it is a perfectly normal turn of phrase. And if he is left alone like that again, and Lucian is again focused out or forced into a situation where it's really, really awkward, then you know, what do? You just die. There is no other alternative. And God now is also being just wrecked by Jwaow one-on-one.
He's being deaded. Very, very low on health, down about halfway, and that's just...
I feel our turns of phrase are getting worse and worse as time goes by.
I'm American. I think I'm allowed to do that. But I mean, that was just one little combo at Jwaow, able to get him very low, and pointed out a very good point idea is that
words.
Motroco, yeah, words are hard sometimes, but Motroco, I mean, he's not gonna be under siege at all during these fights, considering you have to get rid of Belgianbeast, you have to stop Jwaow from doing something, you have to keep Naruterador off people, and Motroco's just sitting there like attacking away, unscathed by anyone.
Yeah, nice avoidance there. But if STO is able to get the right engage, and they do have potential to catch someone out, it's actually credit to TCM, and especially to Motroco, that he has not put a foot wrong thus far. They are ahead, so they have a little bit more control over when fights happen and where, but not once have I seen Motroco be caught out of position thus far. If he were to get Grag assaulted out of position, that would be potentially disastrous. That could lead into a fight which STO could take very easily. But that just has not happened so far. And as long as that continues not to happen, they will just take advantage after advantage like this.
Well, Motroco got to be very careful, as you're saying. If he gets caught out with a barrel, it could be very bad for them. But he's getting that turret very low, attacking him. He even has another BF sword behind him in items. You see the rest of TCM, they're just waiting for their opportunity to go in. And one thing I want to point out, there is no sweeping lens on the hands of STO. They have nothing to clear out this vision right now. And I really wonder if that's going to be a detriment to them in the long run. But the rest of TCM are going to be backing away here. Going to clear out a couple of wards and clear out the jungle and go back to pushing middle.
That's the thing, you can't... Right now, the trinkets are more valuable to them because they need the ability to team fight. They cannot afford to spend much money on wards, and even if they could, they can't afford to, like, advance out to sweep out enemy wards because they could get into a team fight, which we've seen quite a few times now, they really, really can't deal with. So, at the moment, they're just kind of biding their time and waiting for the goal to just equalize on its own. It will do that, assuming TCM are unable to make stuff happen, but we're seeing them taking objectives. Actually, a potential desperation Baron here from STO. No, he's just clearing out the ward.
I gotta see Draven go down like that. I just have to.
Okie dokie, you're the man in charge.
That's my Draven voice. It's not as good as Joe's. You should ask him about his. But right now, the rest of STO, they're going for a push on this top side. They're grouped up in a 5-man push. And right now, TCM, they're not in a position to stop it necessarily, and they could potentially lose a turret here, or they could get that desired engage over a wall that they're looking for.
Yes. Okay, so if Jwaow goes in right now, okay, if Jwaow goes in right now, that would be disastrous because he'd be way ahead of the rest of the team. But if he were to go in now and catch on to, you know, Spontexx or Yuuki, and did you just get that? On my screen, at least, what I just saw was like pause and then a little bit of a catch up there. So I'm hoping that wasn't the server's thing.
No,
help.
So that's good, and hopefully the game isn't lagging for either of them, because that would be, well, the worst time to make it happen right now, considering you're playing for potentially a spot in the LCS. But you do see TCM on the side. That damage that Belgianbeast just did to Airwaks right there. And Looks like they want to go for fire. Naruterador pushed up very far, getting silenced, getting hit with the culling just a little bit here, but not dropping too low. The ace in the hole going to come out, going to hit Spontexx. He uses his ultimate to kind of run away right now, and the rest of the TCM are engaging. Jwaow going straight for Spontexx. Look how low he is getting, but he does get peeled. As Naruterador and Jwaow taking a lot of damage, but it's just still, they're staying so healthy as Belgianbeast able to get in and out of the fight. He does get taken down by Spontexx, but the rest of TCM is just attacking away. And Motroco, he's having a field day here, and they get 4 kills for 1 death.
And once again, Motroco just left in a situation where he was unattacked. He was not in trouble one bit. And it was a really nice chase down by TCM there. And props to Belgianbeast for kind of employing very nice angles with his force pulse there. He was jumping in not close enough for STO to pick him off and not close enough to really go all in, but slowing people down, then following them up, slowing them down again, and eventually forced them into a situation where they had to choose engage or get poked down and then engaged upon.
And he was catching multiple people with that force pulse too, which was just so very deadly. But you can look at the gold that TCM has. Motroco just backed with 2,400. You have 1,000 apiece on every other member, and they're just buying up items left and right here. And I want to say, walk us through the items right now, because between the supports, and this is something we've seen every game so far today, is the team that's winning, their support usually builds some damage.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? When you're ahead, you can afford to start building a lot of damage. When you're behind, maybe your team is really desperately in need of an Aegis of the Legion, which I believe is what Soraka is now going for. Although, in fairness, I think Soraka building AP is a little bit of an iffy choice, especially against such a bursty composition. If she's anywhere near the front line, she's liable to just straight up die, and then she won't be able to have that influence of saving people at the last second, which she actually has been doing quite well in the last fight. She also exhausted in the last fight Belgianbeast just as he was going in for the kill on Spontexx, which screwed him up, but didn't do enough to change the course of the fight overall.
Well, we do see that Naruterador and that giant spell picked up for BarneyD. So going a little bit of split items here, but TCM realizing that STO is in a bad position, going straight for this turret. They do have that Baron buff. You see Jwaow getting flinged in as Airwaks actually popping his ultimate here, but that's not going to be enough to deter TCM from taking that turret down. And it looks like they want to go for, I don't know, maybe push a little bit more. They still have the Baron buff. They have a 5-3 turret lead. They have a major gold advantage. And it's kind of TCM's game to lose currently.
Yeah, they are a long, long way ahead. And you saw it there. I mean, Jwaow took probably less damage from essentially tower diving for a very short time, Airwaks there, than Airwaks did. I mean, Burnout was almost doing more damage than the tower. That's a bad situation to be in, as situations go. So I'm actually a little bit surprised they're playing quite defensively at the moment. TCM not going for this just straight siege. It looks like they're a little bit afraid of the displacement from STO, just in case.
And Belgianbeast, he's going for a little bit of split pushing here. Remember, he does have that teleport. And with the 314 changes, having wards pretty much on everyone just in a split second, he can get into the fight very quickly. He can also escape very easily too on top of that. So as you can see, the rest of the team going to be backing him up here. Gob, the only man defending this top side, and he's going to straight just back away as Jwaow going to tank this turret up, get it very low, and end up dropping that one down. So now another turret going in going to the hands of TCM, and their eyes are starting to turn towards these inhibitor turrets.
Yeah, not a lot you can do in this situation against this, because engage and die, or potentially catch Belgianbeast.
Oh, Belgianbeast need to get fleeing back in. The ultimate coming out of Grog gets the silence and the stun. It wasn't enough to pick him off, though. Naruterador just too damn deep. Gets caught. Still very healthy, though, as he does finally drop. And now Gob, he's going to be the man to go down. And you see a 1-for-2 trade so far as Motroco not being touched, just attacking away again and again, picking up the kills left and right. And just like that, with Naruterador going way too deep, they pick up 4 kills. They lose 1 person. They're going to get an inhibitor turret off of this and an inhibitor.
And I have to say, I feel like this was another example of a fight where STO got the better initiation. They actually made probably more clutch plays effectively there in that fight. And yet, in spite of that, they are the ones who are being beaten back to their Nexus now.
And they're going to go for the win here. Kujaa, look how low he gets just off of 1 combo of Belgianbeast. And in that last fight alone, Belgianbeast, he almost did go down as, well, Kujaa just going to die either way. But TCM looks like they're going to close this one out in 37.5 minutes, 21 of 10 in kills, 70.5 thousand gold to the 50.7 of STO.